Hey everyone, I'm just popping in real quick at the top here to say we spoke for so long this week that we're breaking it up into 2 episodes, and this is going to be the normal show, and on Friday we're going to release our conversation about the We Didn't Start the Fire music video as a bonus. So sit back and enjoy. What's up, all you fireheads? We are not arsonists. This is Week Didn't Start, the podcast. My name's Jerzy Gwiazdowski. I'm joined by Sam Corbin. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Jerzy.
So what we do on this show, I'm going to explain it every week, even though you should probably know by now.
I explained it last week.
You did explain this. Sorry, I didn't mean to say I'll explain it every week.
Okay, here we go. What we do on the show is we take a famous poetic form known as We Didn't Start the Fire by the stranger who I will not name. I will name Billy Joel. I'm doing your whole bit. And
the beach.
We recap the week's news using that poetic form, trying to approach it in its cadence, in its rhyme scheme, in its scansion. And we try it every week with varying levels of success.
We try to match the meter. We try to match the trochaic octameter. We try to get the internal rhymes. We try to hit the syllable count. We try to hit the feminine endings. And sometimes we even have a little fun along the way. But also we recap the news. So part of it is just the experience of doing it. We realize this is dumb. This might be the most parodied song in the history of pop culture. And I came to you at the end of last year and I said, Sam, I don't think there are enough. We should do one a week for all 52 weeks of 2020. And I conned you into this.
Yeah.
You're doing this show as a matter of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're stuck. And this is week number 18.
Whew.
It is May 17th, recapping the week of Sunday, May 17th, but this is our 18th version of this song.
I can't believe, like, in some ways, 18 is such a big number, and in others, it's only a small fraction of 52.
That's what we do. So, Sam, what was it like for you this week?
I felt a little bit dumpy this week in the sense that, like, okay, I will not lie. Of the 2 verses that I worked on this week, my second one is fire. I, happen to know that. But I feel like I'm falling into a pattern of really gleefully enjoying matching words in the verse, sometimes to the detriment of the news recap, like the nodule of news. But
you're playing the meta game.
The meta game.
Where you're matching things in the new song to the old song. You have some great ones this week.
Thank you. And simultaneously a little bit more rhymezone.com.
Oh, I see.
Which I sometimes do if I'm in the flow of things and I basically, and I'm sure you've done this too, but it's like you get to that 1 or 2 remaining news stories and you're just trying to figure out how to slot them into the spot you know they have to go in.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, rhymezone.com.
Did anything in the news happen on Thursday that rhymes with big?
You're not asking. That's
No, that's what I'll do.
Oh, yes.
I'll now confess to this. I've been doing this for weeks.
Yeah.
There was something about a guy threw a pig in some other guy's pool in South America.
Right.
But I found it because I was looking for a rhyme.
Right. And I did think to myself, yeah, I think there's a lot of making peace with that thing of I'm writing 2 words that next to each other are the least. It's the most, we talked about the lowercase concept. It's the most lowercase assessment of something where you really do need to look it up in order to understand what the story was and where it fits in. And I have one line that you probably know which one I'm talking about. It's a news story you shared. I believe it's in my first verse, but I was so delighted, even though it required, it's less descriptive of the thing. I didn't use the key word from the news story, but it was in favor of doing the matching of
I'm curious. We'll talk about it after we do the song.
We will talk about it afterwards.
But because I thought I knew which one you were talking about, and now I don't. But there's one that sticks out for me that you did this week. But I think you did really good stuff this week. So the way we did it this week is we truly alternated all 5 verses. So there are 5 verses in the song. We don't do anything with the chorus. Maybe we will eventually just hear the chorus, but we focus on the list of all of the news items. About 135 every week or so, 120 to 135. I had fewer this week because I did some combining and some stuff where I would replace 2 with 1 and things like that from the original song. But what we do is we take those 5 verses and verse 1 covers Monday, verse 2 covers Thursday, verse 3 covers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for the first 4 verses. Mm-hmm. And then verse 5 covers the weekend. Mm-hmm. So it sort of accelerates as we get closer to now. And this week I did Monday, Wednesday, and the weekend, and Sam did Tuesday and Thursday. Mm-hmm. So we have nothing to write on the show.
You did the whole thing. Thank you so much.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, you were doing another show, so it just felt like it made sense.
Yeah.
And we can mix it up and play with the form. And I know you've talked about wanting to do a week where we kind of take all the news and look at it and then place it where we want.
Yeah, it's just becoming a little bit too much fun to see opportunities to match things, both in their content, like new, old, and rhymes and words that are close to other words. It's just, as an experiment, I think it'd be great.
I saw things on Wednesday and Monday that because I was doing all three, including the last verse, I pulled them and moved them around. So I felt like I had that latitude to move. And so I took advantage of it.
Nice.
So before we get into the verse of the song, one thing we do every week is we each pick two highlights. We pick a highlight from the original song, and we just do a quick hit. We mention something from the original song, either that we knew about, didn't know about, and then we pick a highlight from the current song, which is something in the news that we feel deserves maybe a little bit more focus or attention, something we thought was funny, a really good meme, something underreported, etc. So, Sam, what was your old highlight from this?
Well, my old highlight was selected based on my news story. So I will tell you, my old one was Mickey Mantle, the Commerce Comet, the Mick. He was a baseball player. We all know Billy Joel loves baseball. And more specifically, he played his entire career with the New York Yankees. Also one of the most successful switch hitters in history, which means he bats both with his right and left hand. I'm really excited to talk about switches and pitches and hitters in my news story, but that's about the size of it. What's interesting, and the reason I mentioned Mickey Mantle also in such a cursory way is that sometimes Billy Joel will name a name, and if you look into it, it's like it was a pivotal point in this person's career. But Mickey Mantle is similar to Doris Day, where it's like starlet of the moment, like baseball player at the height of his career. You know, so no, it wasn't a notable World Series win. It wasn't a notable hit or home run. It's just like this guy who was at the baseball zenith.
He was the guy.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, there are like 5 or 6 baseball references in this song, all about New York, except for California baseball, which is about the team from New York moving to California. All right, so how about this? Because your things are linked and my things are kind of linked too. Do you want to do your new highlight?
Yes, sure. And one of the reasons I'm particularly excited to talk about this new highlight is that I did not know this about baseball, and I consider myself a baseball fan. So I was reading the story about how the National League was having these designated hitters like warm up in the bullpen. And I was like, what's the big deal? Hitters are warming up in the bullpen, like, you know, like people are gearing up for a season. And this led me to discover, I was writing to a baseball chat and said, I mean, it wasn't a specific baseball chat, but baseball fans in a group chat said, why is this a big deal? And over the course of this conversation, discovered that the National League does not have designated hitters. And if you are listening to this and you're like, Sam, why would you not know this? It's because I have been an American League fan my entire life because I'm from Toronto. I've rooted for the Toronto Blue Jays my entire life. And I've just never extended my curiosity to the National League politics or anything. But I discovered that the people who are fans of National League teams think that the American League is cowardly for having designated hitters because they think it's a fairer game. And so the idea behind not having a designated hitter is that the pitcher also has to bat, and that having the pitcher at bat engenders a strategy, like the concept of double switching, where you take 2 people out and then like swap their spots in the lineup and make sure that the pitcher bats as few times as possible. Someone explained this to me. I'm getting to the end of this, and I still feel a conviction that the concept of like, oh, well, it's just a better game if you have a pitcher who bats is so useless when the entire strategy of a coach would be to just place a pitcher and like have him bat never. To me, it's just absurd that the reason to have a pitcher who must also bat is also to have that pitcher never bat. Like, then just have
stop
a DH. Pretending. Yeah, just have a DH. So anyway, I was very excited to learn something new about baseball, and yeah.
Baseball is...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
The news about the National League getting designated hitters is because of COVID. I'm sorry to name the virus that shall not be named that is permeating our consciousness.
I'll bleep it out on the podcast.
Thank you so much. But it's that because of the abbreviated season, they are having designated hitters in order to... well, this part of my brain has turned off, but I think it's just to get more. Because there's more intra-league gameplay because it's an abbreviated season, so it's to keep things more fair. I love learning something new about the deepness, the depth of the mythology. I said deepness. Good night. What's your old story?
My old story. So I'm going on a run. What I've been doing my last several of these, and you can go back and, the fireheads already know, but if you're new to the show, you can go back and listen to the original, the old episodes. And I've been going on a run of highlighting people from the original song that are still alive. So I've done the Queen, Bob Dylan. Who else did I talk about? Last week I talked about Little Rock for the Little Rock Nine, the first high schoolers to go to a desegregated high school in Arkansas. But this week, this was somebody that hadn't popped into my head that's still living, and it's somebody. Well, it's Bernie Goetz. So my highlight from this original song is Bernie Goetz. Sam, do you know anything about the Bernie Goetz story?
Nope.
So this is 1984. I think it's better that you don't. This was very much of the time. So it's in verse 5 of the original song, which is the most, I would say, like what we're doing with this podcast and this show, which is, it was capturing the zeitgeist. So a lot of the stuff that happens in verse 5, especially in the second stanza of verse 5, is all stuff from the 80s. So you have, hypodermics on the shore and homeless vets, AIDS crack, Bernie Goetz. Bernie Goetz became this very divisive folk hero figure. He's a New York resident, and in 1984, he was armed on a subway car, and 4 young men approached him, and he shot them all in rapid succession.
Yeah.
And he was acquitted of all charges other than the concealed firearm. And, it was a different time. There are things that are similar to kind of stuff that's happening in the news now. And this guy, Bernie Goetz, had been mugged before and had lobbied for or appealed to be able to carry a firearm with him in public. And it was denied, but he started doing it anyway. Jeez. And basically what happened is these 4 19, 20-year-old guys came up to him and were like, give me $5. And he pulled out his gun and shot all 4 of them. One of the guys was rendered quadriplegic. And he was acquitted of, all the stuff except for the concealed.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And he was acquitted. He still lives in New York. He still lives right off of Union Square. And he
Are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah. He got on the stop at the 14th Street Union Square subway stop. So this was all, he's like a lifelong New Yorker, but he was discovered without a mask in Union Square by a New York Post reporter last week or 2 weeks ago. And they recognized him as this New York figure and did an interview with him. And he is now, this is my new highlight, by the way. Well, it's getting into my new highlight, but Bernie Goetz was like, oh yeah, this is all a conspiracy. You don't actually need a social distance. You don't actually need to wear masks. So we've seen the sort of, he's just really riding the wave. My actual highlight though this week is shitty people resurfacing in the news, which covers a couple of different stories that seem to happen this week. But people like Martin Shkreli, who appealed for his
early release
case, early release from prison so that he could study the virus, right? Was denied. So Shkreli's back in the news. They're kind of riding the coattails of this current pandemic and the fact that people are looking for a diversification of news in some way because there's really one news story ever since mid-March. So it's, hey, remember the pharma bro? He's doing this. And so like shitty people coming back in the news. Also, Paul Manafort was moved to home detainment so that he can be, because of coronavirus concerns, because he is older, maybe susceptible to coronavirus, and because people in prisons are hugely disproportionately getting it. And then the other kind of shitty person that resurfaced in the news is the man who for decades has been known to, or at least suspected of, funding the Rwandan genocide for years in the mid-90s and is responsible for the deaths of nearly 1 million people in Rwanda, was apprehended in France this week.
So what's his name?
Kabuga is his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't read about this. Wow.
This happened on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So maybe I wasn't up on the weekend news. Wow. Felician
Kabuga taken into custody. So that was going to be my new highlight. And then I thought, well, there are just a series of, shitty people in the news that are resurfacing from the past. So since you like to do the thing where you link your old and your new, I thought I'd do it as well.
I do like to link my old and my new.
So those are our highlights. Do you want to jump into the song?
I do want to jump into the song.
All right. I will start with Monday. Jerry Stiller, space debris, Washington potatoes free, Oklahoma, Fauci warning, Putin rating low. Amazon deforestation, black bear candy, home invasion, USDA General Mills paid Pantheon saying coal. Food protest Bolivians, Tigers valedictorian, group sessions on Spotify, and the double rainbow guy. Distance flights not distancing. England's got a Zoom queen. Tesla running, Twitter warning, stimulus cash deadline.
Tuesday. Rio lady Modi's dime, Kabul and Oaxacan crime, distance kickers, British pickers, fashion forms block. Rank 1 Lebanon, mini Moni Pattinson, woman fool falls, Uber Grubhub talks. Dem aid, masks fake, Broadway's got a summer break, Bryan Adams racist rant, Hamilton in Disney's hands, mods hushed, COVID tech, countermeasures, visa threat, all-time hate, evil states, trouble in the bullpens.
The podcast. Beckett Cypher, Big Macs, Rhino saving dog pack, shower face mask, NASA slime, oldest gal in Spain survives, NBA ball XFL, paralegal tips cartel, house record women vie, Manafort can go outside. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, uh-oh. Campaign Climate Task Force, John Cornyn changes course, UFOs, typhoon, fake pandemic, boogaloo, Matt Garcia wins his race, Justin Bieber's pizza face, Uber checker Colo, filtered Bolsonaro.
Thursday. Cutter masks Biden, suicides down in Japan, Popkin cops din, call for people's vaccine, beer dump in Australia, British genitalia, Burrs phone, migrant men, students beat Michigan, cyber libel, cleaner breaths, justice for Breonna's death, Wisconsin bars packed right away. What else do I have to say?
Death of Cole, pics of Kim, Bundesliga back again, fake meme, Woodstock, UK tries to silence docs, Willard Shelton, insta crime, Pharma bro must serve his time, Kabuga is detained in France, House bill won't get second chance, Zuckerberg lands Giphy by, Trump can't golf with McElroy, cancel debts, settlements, spray, flak, crashing jets, Italy, Phyllis George, pension llama, case reborn, Senate web search spying war, I can't take it anymore. That was the week.
All right. Any call outs?
I mean, the thing that I had a bunch of faves in yours, but the one about the Yellowstone lady that fell in the...
That was the one I was referencing.
Yeah,
about
I thought
the lowercase.
so.
Yeah.
That was terrific. What did you think was weird about that?
Oh, it was that I started to get in my head this week in the writing about being like using words like woman, like area woman, it started to feel like that. So I felt like, the salient point about that is Yellowstone. So if I don't say it, I'm like doing a disservice to the writing of the song, but I don't know. It's just getting in my head about it.
I found myself doing that too, like using words. I found myself feeling bad about the words I was using in order to fit the song into the structure.
Yeah.
I want to apologize to Paul Vasquez, the Double Rainbow guy, who lived a rich, full life and was so much more than the Double Rainbow guy. And yet I could not resist saying "and the Double Rainbow guy." I would also like to apologize to the oldest living woman in Spain, who I called the oldest gal in Spain, because she beat...
I liked that.
She survived as a little child the flu pandemic and...
and COVID.
Yeah.
Wow. Also, I wanted to call out, I was really appreciative of your use of the apostrophe in Tiger's valedictorian because it made such a great use of the cadence.
The story there was, Princeton had their first black valedictorian in the history of the university.
Wow. Let's see. What else? Yeah, just looking at moments where things came together for me, like Hamilton in Disney hands instead of Elvis Presley Disneyland.
Yeah, that's
moments
great.
like that I'm newly obsessed with. And then I cannot resist calling out, in my Thursday verse, beer dump in Australia, British genitalia.
Oh, British genitalia was terrific, but it was so perfect.
Thank you. That's all I have to say. But let's see.
Oh, yeah.
The Woodstock thing I posted in the Friday, but I was glad it found its way.
Oh, yeah, that dumb, weird Woodstock meme. Yeah. Yeah. What was something that I liked that I did? I had something. Oh, I felt bad about also in the first verse. I did England's got a Zoom queen because it's English. England's got a new queen. Also, it's weird that Billy Joel, the Piano Man, says Brooklyn has a winning team, and he says England's got a new team.
Yeah. And I have to say, because we're so hard on ourselves in the way we write, I always do like finding flaws. And And this time I was like, oh, he says British Beatlemania and British politician sex. Like, British is really doing a lot of heavy lifting in both of those lines.
Agreed. Yeah, we're beginning to see through the veneer of this song that it's so lyrically, perfect. Although the form, I will say, is perfect, and it's held up for 18 weeks now. The thing about Zoom Queen is, like, because she's distanced, but the real story is that she's not able to go from Windsor Palace back to Buckingham Palace. She's really doing her stuff over the phone, not Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom has become a sort of...
I'll give you a pass.
And England's got a Zoom Queen for England's got a new Queen. I couldn't resist that.
I think it's great.
Yeah. All right. Let's... Well, this has been week 18. You want to do this again for week 19? What do you think?
I do.
All right. So thank you for listening. Oh, if you want to read the lyrics that we do every week, I've started posting them on the Twitter and Instagram. We're at Week Didn't Start on both Twitter and Instagram. So as soon as this episode posts, maybe slightly before, the lyrics to this week's version will go up, and then you can look at the last 2 or 3 are up there on the Instagram and Twitter. I'll start making the backlog, but we've done a bunch of them and we just figured out how to make it kind of look nice and good. So
yeah. And can I also float the idea, like, have a couple friends and colleagues who have been listening to the podcast and have, really interesting theories or things to add or phrases they always thought about Billy Joel. So if you are listening to this and you have opinions about what you're hearing or deeper dives that you want us to explore, things that you want to share, please interact with us on Twitter and Instagram. We would love to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been already fun hearing what people have to say and what people have to think about it. And again, there's the whole point of this is that there's too much to cover, and this song format is the only way to capture as much of it as possible, but it still feels like it's leaking out of our ears. It's the only way.
Yes.
So if there's something that we get wrong, or there's something that you want to hear more about, or there's you have suggestions or comments or accolades, especially the accolades, please do that. Rate us on iTunes if you listen on iTunes. Write reviews. You can get us on Spotify. You can get us on... Oh, they don't call it...
You can get us on Spotify. Yeah. I mean, that is dope.
We're on every platform. Google Podcasts. We're in every platform where you can get podcasts.
That's so dope.
And keep listening and keep sharing and tell your friends and subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And if you do want to watch us do this live on Sunday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, you can also subscribe to our YouTube and watch us do this live and see all the stuff that we end up cutting out of the podcast.
All the rich talk.
Exactly. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week on Week Didn't Start. Thank you, Sam.
Good night.